talked about this last week, but I don't know how long we'll be focusing on this. But I personally, in my family, one of the things that we try to do is memorize scripture together. And if you don't do that, then I would encourage you to do it because it's really good. In fact, my daughter came up the other day and she said, one of the things I really have been appreciating has been at dinner time, just taking some time, turn off the TV, if that's something you do, which we've been guilty of it. We've gotten in a rut where they have a show or something the kids want to watch, but it's just good to sit down and to just mull over a verse. And so we've been mulling over verses that have to do with helping the poor, and there's a lot of, again, there's a lot of, just like we talked about last week, there's a lot of financial benefits to helping the poor. And it might seem a little bit like, why would you help the poor to help yourself? Well, that's not why you're doing it. But again, it's interesting that the Bible doesn't shy away from, hey, if you want to be blessed, be a blessing. That's fine. So for those of you who you might struggle a little bit more with just being selfless, I think it's really cool that God knows how to incentivize all of us with saying, "Hey, there's going to be a reward for this, so do it." Some of us are just very selfless and altruistic. We just give, 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 give. We don't care what's in it for us, right? But some of us are a little more, what's in it for me? And God's okay with you having both of those desires. I think that's cool. Obviously to any extreme, it could be unhelpful. But there's a lot of good motivations that we can tap into here. So I want to talk about Proverbs 19:17. Okay. Proverbs 19:17. Some of you are like, it's April 14th. I know, but this week will be you'll read Proverbs 19, so it counts. It counts. Again, I would encourage you all, please, 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 if you can, try to do a proverb a day. If not, that's totally fine. And maybe you'll do it over 2 months. If you're going a little bit slow like me, sometimes I'll take a little bit longer. But definitely, guys, definitely, I just so encourage you to do it. There's so much meat here. Okay. It's Proverbs 19:17. Does anyone want to read it for me? I've got it. I've been doing it in the ESV, the Net Bible as well. Right now I'm on the New Living Translation, so I'm curious to see maybe something else that y'all got. By the way, no offense again, the message is not a translation. Okay, it's a commentary. It was never meant to be a translation, so just be careful. Nothing wrong with it, but it's not meant to be that.
This is NIV.
Anyone? Yeah, go for it, Trina.
Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they have done.
Yes, there we go. Whoever is kind to the poor. So, kindness, right? It's also translated for a lot of people generous. Whoever's generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. He will repay him for his deed. So just take a second and think about that for a second. Whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. Another verse that pops up in Proverbs, it's a little bit later. It's a little bit later. Trying to find it here real quick for you guys. This is another one that talks about the giving part. This is Proverbs 28:8. It's actually our internal theme verse for our Kingdom Debt Solutions company. Because I think it's pretty funny. Because it's very true. Oops, it just popped up. Give me 1 second. If someone can find it first, let me know. Here we go. Proverbs 28:8. Whoever multiplies his wealth by interest and profit gathers it for him who is generous to the poor. I think another if you go to NLT, it makes it a little bit more clear what he's talking about. So income from charging high interest rates will end up in the pocket of someone who is kind to the poor. So in other words, if you're someone who's gracious to the poor, you're kind to the poor, wealth is going to end up in your lap. Now, again, and there's so many other verses in the Bible that talk about this. There's Psalm 41, 1 through 3. Blessed is the one who considers the poor in the day of trouble. Yahweh delivers him. Yahweh protects him and keeps him alive. He is called blessed in the land. You've got that one. You've got also too. Does anyone remember if where in the New Testament can you think of where you see a promise whenever we are giving to those who are in need?
When Jesus told them that whoever lends me, um, they have they have done that to the poor. Whoever fed me, they have done that to the poor.
Yep, yep. I was just going to say that. So Matthew 25, right? We've talked about that before when he's talking about the final judgment day. And if you go to Matthew 25, 31 through it's 46, it's kind of long, but we'll read it together. So when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on the left. Then the king will say to those on his right, come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you welcomed me. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you drink? And when did we see you a stranger and welcome you, or naked and clothe you? And when did we see you a sick or in prison and visit you? The king will answer them, truly I say to you, as you did it to one of the least of these, my brothers, you did it to me. Then he will say to those on his left, depart from me, you cursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry and you gave me no food. I was thirsty and you gave me no drink. I was a stranger and you did not welcome me, naked and you did not clothe me, sick and in prison and you did not visit me. Then they will answer, saying, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you? Then he will answer them, saying, truly I say to you, as you did not do it to one of the least of these, you did not do it to me. And these will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. So here's another practical example of he will repay him for his deed. It also, on the flip side, is saying he will repay. It's in another way. Sorry, guys, I'm outside. I'm on the deck in Florida, so hopefully the dog's not too loud. Uh, so he will repay him for his deed. On the flip side, he will repay him for his not done deed. Right? It goes both ways. We're all going to be repaid in some way, shape, or form. It's just going to be, are you going to be repaid to the resurrection of the just or the resurrection of the unjust, right? Because we can talk all day about, I go to church and I read the Bible, and it doesn't talk about that here, does he? I prayed, doesn't talk about that, right? I gave my tithes, doesn't talk about that. He's not talking about any of this stuff, right? He's talking about what did you practically do to help the poor? And specifically, when he says the least of these, we know earlier from Matthew, he said, the least of these, my brothers. So we know specifically he's talking about disciples. So I think it's important that we first of all, I mean, the first priority, it's important for us to do good, especially to the household of God. Who are your brothers and sisters in Jesus that are already in that situation? How can we step it up? How can we grow? How can we be served? Because remember, guys, these talks on Monday and everything that we do here to work together, we're not just here to focus on worldly wealth. Okay, that's ultimately going to evaporate, right? Moth and rust will destroy. Thieves will break in and steal. Every billionaire at some point, they ain't taking. There's no. You never see a hearse with a U-Haul hitch attached to the back, right? They can't take it with them. The Egyptians can try to bury the pharaohs can try to bury their wealth with them. It's not going with them. So I want you to ultimately be thinking about how can I get rewarded for eternity? How can I become rich for eternity? Because some of you guys think about this, right? I mean, if you are already somebody who is following Jesus, seeking to follow him in every area of your life, including these kinds of verses, if you're doing that and you've given your life to him and you are committed to making disciples, then you're already richer than Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Bill Gates or anybody that is not in alignment with Jesus, because their wealth is going to expire for them personally in like 40, 50, 60, 100 years. And you guys are going to have it for eternity, right? But the way that you store up treasure, and also we could talk about this too, how Jesus, the only times that I've seen when I've studied him actually explaining how you store up treasure in heaven is by helping the poor, which is again really interesting. So whoever is generous to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will repay him for his deed. So again, what exactly does that mean? Well, we know what it means eternally. What does that mean for us while we're on earth? I don't exactly know. I don't exactly know. I don't exactly know to what degree he will repay you, what that looks like, if that's purely monetary, if it's in other ways where I'm not 100% sure, but we just know there's a repayment. So I just want you guys to take a moment and just be reflective on how can I be more generous to the poor? What would that look like? What would that look like for me to step it up? And feel free to pop in the chat. While you guys are doing that, I'm going to share something that it's a little bit intense, but I think that if it grips you like it did me yesterday, it'll be good for your soul. I'm not sure if any of you had seen this. This is a little bit old, but during the Syrian war, there's just so many people that are displaced. And
Good evening.
oops, sorry about that. I saw a picture of this and it was just really heartbreaking. And I want us, obviously, we all have people at home, even nearby, that we could be more loving to, and we could serve and we could help. But I wanted to share this with you all because I thought this was pretty gripping to just to get our hearts in the right place. So give me 1 second here. Okay. I don't know if you guys, let me make sure you guys can hear this too. Here we go, share sound.
It's rare that we have to warn you right from the top of the newscast about what you're about to see, but the photo we're going to show you has quickly resonated across the world as a heartbreaking symbol of an utter human catastrophe that we can't close our eyes to. It is the image of a lifeless child in the arms of a rescuer on a Turkish beach, one of the thousands of migrants and refugees from the war-torn Middle East and Africa who have perished in a desperate attempt to find a new life in Europe. But even for those who survive, a rude awakening awaits in countries that are moving to close their doors. NBC's Kelly Kobiea has the story.
It's been days. Desperate families stranded outside a train station in Budapest. No answers, no help, nowhere to go.
Imagine yourself in our place. You are a human. We are a human. You have kids. We have kids.
Hundreds are stuck here, the Hungarian government refusing to let them board trains out of the country. Shireen Mamo walked here with her children. Her brother made it to Germany. She's now alone, feeling helpless and hopeless. Europe is a continent in crisis. A warning, this disturbing image shows how bad it has become. The body of one small boy, cradled in a Turkish police officer's arms. He was from Kobani in Syria. His boat sank last night on the way to Greece. And the Mediterranean keeps claiming lives, with 17 more bodies appearing on Libya's shores. More than 100 feared dead in that sinking. These are the
Yeah, I know this is graphic, guys, but I just couldn't help but when you see an image like that, and I just thought about what if that was one of my kids? I looked at the little sneakers, I looked at the shorts. My son was wearing something similar the other day. And I know we all we can't do everything, and there's always gonna be the poor among us, and there's always gonna be those in need that we can't help. It's like the guy who's walking on the beach and throwing the starfish back, and someone said, "Why would you do that? There's millions of them here. What difference does it make?" And he says, "Well, it made a difference to that one." And I just want us to pray and to consider, and this is why again, just guys, we can't help the poor if we are not in a place of financial abundance. There's just not much you can do. There's not. You have to have excess. And so I want you all that are on this call to feel a sense of responsibility, a burden to have access, to have so much that you can just meet ridiculous amount of needs. That's my goal. So again, I'm trying to, we call it Monday morning boost or motivation. I want you to be motivated to, guys, if your only goal is to just get rich, for you, it's just not going to last. It's not going to do much. It's not going to be powerful. The thing that's going to get you off your butt and drive you to work yourself like crazy and do it for Jesus is going to be thinking about other people. How can you make a difference? How can you transform lives? How can you help the poor? And the moment you start to make it about you, the moment your energy gets off, the moment everything gets off, the moment people can smell it, the people that are around, they don't want to be a part of it. If you're being motivated by greed and selfishness and what's in it for me, ultimately it's not going to last. It's not going to have any power in it. So I just want to encourage you all to really just again just ask God, Lord, break me for the poor. And don't just be something where we're saying, okay, go and be clothed and warm and well fed. No, we're called in James to actually give it and meet the need. That's what real faith is. That's what real godliness is. It's not just saying, I want to help the poor and I'm going to pray for the poor. It's actually being able to tangibly meet their needs. So, again, I know that everyone here, you're here because you have a heart like that. You care about people, which is great. But I just ask again, like, what would it look like for you this week to get so cranked up so far? What's an image? I mean, that's a new image for me. I'm taking that image and I'm putting it in my office when I get back. Is I want to be reminded of that. When I see that, my heart breaks. I can't stop crying. Instantly, I'm weeping. What is an image like that for you? What's a reminder like that for you that if you think about it, it will drive you to work even harder? Because I got to help someone else like that. Some of you, I know, like I know some of your personal missions. Some of you are just you feel called to help those in addiction. I think that's wonderful. You feel a pull to help those who are suicidal, who are struggling with depression. I don't care what it is, but what can you get your heart around? The thing I heard from David Green, who's the Hobby Lobby owner, is he said, give to the things that break your heart. Give to the causes that break your heart. And just find causes, find people, find images, find things that break your heart to the point where you will give everything that you have to make it a reality to help them. You will push, you'll get outside of your comfort zone, because some of you, you need to make big moves in your career, you need to make big moves in your business. You know, in your investing journey, there's things that you need to do that you just don't want to do. You're procrastinating, you're putting it off because you're making it about you. And if you'll just make it about them, you will get out of your comfort zone. You will stop procrastinating. You'll stop putting things off that you know you need to do, because love will compel you. Perfect love casts out fear. So when you are filled with love, when you are filled with passion, you're filled with purpose, you will go the distance. You will go the distance. If it's just about you, though, again, it's not going to last. You guys feel me? Yeah. Again, there's nothing wrong with wanting an upgrade in your lifestyle, a better house, a better car, whatever, all that stuff. But eventually, that will just not do it for you. I would just encourage you guys to, and I need it just as much as everyone here, encourage you to make it about other people primarily. Make it about serving God's kingdom. And trust me, all of this stuff, all the other cool stuff and the toys and all whatever, that stuff will probably come too. But make it about other people. How can you serve him? How can you make sure that you hear well done, good and faithful servant, and make it an obsession? I was just listening to anyone know the cross and the switchblade, David Wilkerson, his story? Very, very powerful. Very, very, very powerful. But I was talking to, or I was listening to a guy who ran into him recently. Or I don't know how recent, however many years ago it was, but he was talking to David Wilkerson, and he was saying how he was still at his old age, just terrified. Like, did I do enough to help the least of these? Am I going to hear well done, good and faithful servant? Am I going to be a sheep or a goat? I think that there's something about that we should all always be having in the back of our mind. Are we doing everything we can to hear those words? And we know one of the ways to do that is obeying what we just talked about. So, all right. I love all of you. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And I'd love to see any reflections you have in the group. Come ready next week with how you're applying it. Again, just practically find something to grip your heart around. Find an image, find a scene, find a cause, find something that can just grip you so that you are pulled outside of your comfort zone and you will take massive action financially. Let love will compel you. All right. Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye, everybody.